Well, we have talked quite a bit here on the Stu Peters Show, and for good reason, of course, about the installation of a complete and total AI-driven surveillance state that will take over America and, of course, trample over your First Amendment and all of your constitutional rights, for that matter. All in the name of compliance with the global homo agenda of the global death cult that traces its command structure all the way back to Rothschild Boulevard in Tel Aviv. And as Donald Trump's most recent visit to Israel told us, all the way up to the Knesset in occupied Jerusalem. Now, we have been warning from this desk of this exact situation for a very long time, and so have others, but for years we've been dismissed as conspiracy theorists or radicals or extremists, and of course the old faithful tagline, anti-Semites. But now, and I truly take no pleasure in saying this, now we have been vindicated. This country is now rolling faster than ever before toward total tyranny, toward becoming the very monstrosity that our ancestors gave their lives to avoid ever becoming a part of, a global totalitarian regime centered around the most powerful banks and corporations and self-appointed elites on the entire planet. Our people fought, our people died to break away from the rest of the world. It was called the American Revolution, and now, seemingly, it's all on us. We are the ones standing in the gap at this moment in history as mankind and the living, breathing definition of evil collide. And only one side of this is coming out standing. Nobody's coming to save us. There's no plan for you to trust. The American people, quite frankly, are all alone, but for God and each other. That's who we have. And that's who we have to prepare to march into battle alongside, to square off against the most powerful governments and banks and corporations and demonic individuals in world history. Now, there's been a lot of talk about the installation of a total surveillance state over this country, and right now we're actually watching that installation play out on the streets of Minneapolis, for example, where after a federal agent shot a white American citizen called Renee Good to death, DHS Secretary Kristi Noem has announced the deployment of hundreds of additional federal shock troops. Now, these shock troops are not coming for the purpose of deporting the Somali invaders that we all want to get rid of, or any invaders, for that matter, that I and you and everyone wants to get rid of, but for the purpose of crushing the astroturfed, engineered mob that have taken to the streets because they've been psyoped into defending people who hate them against a government that also hates them. And that's not the only thing that Kristi Noem is announcing. She also released a public statement by way of social media informing the American people that the Department of Homeland Security will be deploying military-grade drones above the U.S. interior, not just the southern border, not just the northern border or our nation's seaports, but over the U.S. interior. Presumably including Minneapolis, where again she's sending hundreds of agents at this very moment. Noem, by way of X, says that, quote, drones represent the new frontier of American air superiority. Under President Trump, we are entering a new era to defend our air superiority, to protect our borders and the interior of the United States. With the creation of the DHS Executive Office for Unmanned Aircraft Systems and Counter-Unmanned Aircraft Systems, President Trump continues his historic legacy in developing American dominance. This will help us continue to secure the border and cripple the cartels, protect our infrastructure, and keep Americans safe as they attend festivities and events during a historic year of America's 250th birthday and FIFA 2026. That's right, Goy. Give up any semblance of privacy or freedom of movement that you've ever had in the name of the World Cup. In the name of fighting back against the cartels, like Nicolas Maduro's cartel, which our government now admits never existed in the first place. In the name of domination, prepare to be dominated, America. Donald Trump is here to dominate you. But look, brass tacks, this statement from Kristi Noem, it should give everyone quite a bit of pause. Because Kristi Noem didn't come up with this idea all by herself. She's following the plans that were publicly laid several months ago, and these plans weren't laid by the United States government itself, but instead by the U.S. government's true commander-in-chief, Benjamin Netanyahu, during one of his multiple trips to the United States. Take a look at this.
The weapons change over time. You can't fight today with swords. That doesn't work very well, okay? And you can't fight with cavalry. That doesn't work very well. And you have these new things, you know, like drones, things like that. I won't get into that. But we have to fight with the weapons that apply to the battlefields in which we're engaged.
Now, at the time that was uttered, many people, and rightly so, viewed Netanyahu's statement there as a threat. And it was, on its face. But behind the curtain, that was a whole lot more than a threat. That was a command. That was Benjamin Netanyahu giving a command to members of the United States government to fire up the drones and to deploy them against American citizens. Just think about how easy it will be once these drones take to the sky to get you to sign off on everything that these people want you to do. Citizens will begin submitting to everything just to avoid a drone sitting outside their bedroom window and watching them while they sleep. Or sitting outside their bedroom window and killing them while they sleep. But look, this goes way beyond Kristi Noem and Donald Trump, even Benjamin Netanyahu. It even goes way beyond Palantir, the Jewish-run AI firm that wants to put facial recognition technology on every light pole and every street sign in your country. Because within this entire operation to destroy and enslave America, there are shadowy groups and shadowy individuals that you've likely never heard of because no one is reporting the fact that they even exist. There are groups based out of Israel and based out of the United States with direct ties to the absolute highest level of Israeli intelligence and the Israeli regime that have more access to your private communications and your whereabouts and really everything about your life, more than the NSA could have ever dreamed of. In fact, these are the people who are governing the NSA, along with more than 70 other U.S. government agencies, while maintaining access to the data of millions of Americans, and quite possibly every single American. Remember Edward Snowden, the hero whistleblower who had to flee for his life after informing the American people that their government was spying on them? Well, all of that was legitimate. But the things that we have uncovered here at the Stu Peters Network make the things that Edward Snowden was trying to warn you about look like child's play. You know what? Let me just introduce you all to Axonius. Or as it's officially known in its government contracts, Axonius Federal Systems. Now, on the surface, and I really do mean the absolute surface because it doesn't take a whole lot of digging to figure out who these people really are. But on the surface, Axonius is described as an American firm based out of New York City with additional offices in Reston, Virginia, just outside of Washington, D.C. Okay, great. What of it? Well, in reality, Axonius is an Israeli intelligence operation that has deeply embedded itself inside of the United States government. This is a firm that was founded by veterans of Israel's Unit 8200. One of the most advanced, most notorious digital intelligence organizations in the world. And they go way beyond digital intelligence gathering. They handle assets, they facilitate and launch cyber attacks, they build dossiers on random American citizens and then weaponize them to be used against them later. Unit 8200 is the group of people in computer rooms all across Israel hyping up the next mass shooter on the internet, parsing through the text messages and emails and phone calls and browsing history and locations of those that they suspect may be political dissidents. But let's be real here. These people aren't just monitoring dissidents like this show or this network or public figures or government officials. They're monitoring everyone. If you come across their screen, they're going to look into you. That's a given. And with Axonius, they're taking all of that to the next level. This is a cybersecurity firm that, as I mentioned just a moment ago, is effectively controlling more than 70 United States government agencies, including the DoD and DHS. Because once you get back-end access to the computer networks of these agencies, you own them. You're in control. All of a sudden, you've compromised everyone and they're all following your commands. And who knows how many private sector organizations these people are linked up with as well, as they maintain complete and total access to the data of millions of American citizens, because that's what this is.